Welcome back to the channel. Today I want to talk about 10 tips that you might want to keep in mind while you're in China. The first one is kind of dealing with various factors in the bathroom. So we want to keep in mind is that the toilets are a little bit different there. We're used to kind of being able to sit on the top of a toilet comfortably and flush it and everything like that, okay? But in China, the toilets are a little bit different. So you'll be squatting. There'll be a hole in the ground, okay? You will not be sitting on anything. You're squatting, putting your legs right apart from each other, and that's about it. A lot of people think it's more hygienic because you're not touching any part of the toilet, and it's healthy that way for the body, but you can decide that on your own if that's the case or not. Some other factors that are a little bit different in China than in the US is that we're used to having soap next to the faucet after we're finished doing what we do in the stall, and that's not provided. So what you might want to do is bring hand sanitizer with you or some other sort of cleansing liquid so that you can wash yourself afterwards. The other thing is, and this probably I should have said before, is that there's no toilet paper in the stalls. So I will provide a picture here that will show what you might want to buy every time you go to the restroom. It's like a little, almost like a little box of Kleenex that's convenient for you to put in your purse. So two things very different, no toilet paper and no soap. So we want to keep that in mind when we're going to the restroom to have those with us. Okay, so now we move on to more, and by the way, when you, so most of the toilets are squat toilets throughout China, but if you go more and more towards more rural areas in China, you might find different kinds of systems that will be pretty alarming to you. You might even be able to see the person beside you and other things that will be very disgusting. But you know, that's just, it depends where you travel to, and that tends to be in the very rural farm areas of China. Okay, so now we're going to move on to some factors that we might keep in mind when we're at the restaurant. So there is no cold water, which we're used to having in every restaurant in the US. We have ice with all our water, cold drinks. Ice is very rare to see in China. Okay, so what you will get instead is hot water, which Chinese believe is very healthy for you and good for the body. If you ever don't feel well in China, they often tell you to drink hot water. There's a reason for that. And in fact, if you go to the hospital as well, they recommend that you do that. They think it cleanses the body and it makes you feel well no matter the season. Okay, throughout the whole year you will be given hot water if you'd like. Of course, you can buy cold water at grocery markets or whatnot, but in restaurants they will provide hot water to you. Another thing we want to consider is that while in the US we provide tips, right? When we go out to eat, usually not fast food restaurants of course, but when we sit down and are comfortably seated by a waiter or waitress, and they take our plates away and they refill our water, we give these people what we call tips. In China, there are tips, but it's included in the price, right? So you'll have the final price, but that final price includes the tips and what you ordered. So you don't have to, on the side, add an extra whatever, figuring out, oh, was this waiter or waitress good? How much should I give them? It's kind of a mess if you think about it here, and very annoying. So you don't have to worry about that there, so don't feel the need to give tips. It's included in the price. Okay, so this topic that I'm going to talk about a little bit now, I will have a separate video for it because I think it's very important and a huge just part of Chinese society now. and that's two applications called WeChat and Trufubao. So these are applications where basically it has your money in it. Wherever you go, you scan your phone, and that's how you pay. So a lot of Chinese people today will not they will not bring cash with them in their wallets because there's no need to. And in fact, it's kind of dangerous in a way. Someone can steal your money. Here you just have your phone, and this can be places anywhere, really, in a restaurant, in a convenience store, in the subway even. They don't require you swipe your card anymore. You have an application where you just show your phone and it gets you through. So very, very convenient. Here, we don't really have that system yet. There's Google Pay, but that's not very common today. Some places have that, but still, people are used to having their wallet with them with money inside, or gift cards if that's something else. Okay, so now that that's out of the way, which I'm going to have a separate video for, which is what I just mentioned, when you're traveling throughout China, you really want to make sure that you're going to shops that, if you're searching for, let's say, some common Chinese things that you want to buy, let's say like jade, which a lot of foreigners like to go to China to buy, silk, you could have silk scarves or silk dresses, and tea, Chinese tea, right? So you want to make sure that you check the prices on these items, because sometimes they can be well above the price that you're expecting. And you need to make sure that, and I will list later on, places that are more, trustable when you buy these items, because not everywhere will show these items at a price that you're going to accept. So do not randomly go to any place. You need to make sure that the place is well credited with people that know what they're selling and the items are actually real. Because a lot of these things might not be real, or might be real but at a price that is too much for you. So we want to make sure that that's something we consider and you're not cheated. So the next thing I want to talk about here is so this goes kind of along with what I was saying and my fourth point here, in that there are several apps that we might use more often in China, such as WeChat and Trufubao. There are several other things that we might find similar here that we use that we can also use in China, and this is really helpful when we travel. Okay, so two of these apps, I will include a picture showing you exactly where you can download it and what it looks like. And so in the US, when you travel, we really like to use TripAdvisor, right? So the application for that in China is Mafengwo. So we could use that and kind of, take us through everything we want to know when we're traveling. Good hotels, good things to eat, attractions to go to that are famous in that area. Okay, so that's an important app that we can look through. And the next one is when we want to find a really nice restaurant. And you can find this on both apps, but this is more just specific to restaurants, is 大众点评, which is our Yelp. So that I think we'll want to use. And you can, of course, all these applications you can put in English, so it shouldn't be an issue that if you were to not understand Chinese, you can always change the setting into English, so it shouldn't be a problem. Okay, so, and I know these tips are not really related to each other, but these tips I think are very important and useful, and probably useful for people that are studying, traveling, or working, and they relate to all of you. Okay, so and these I compiled together hoping that they would be helpful. So my 8th one here is important numbers that you might want to keep in mind when you are in any sort of emergency. So here, for the most part, our only number that we call is 911. Okay, but in China, there's two numbers that we want to keep in mind here. The first one is 110, which is our 911. Okay, 110, and the other number is 120, which is the ambulance. Okay, so 120 is the ambulance, and 119 is if you're in any sort of situation where there's a fire that goes out in the school, in any sort of building, and you need to call these numbers. So 3 number is really important here. 110, 120, and 119. So this next point here, you're going to be very, very excited for people that have just got out of high school and entering college. You're going to be really, really happy about this. So if you're someone who likes to party and go out with your friends, well, in China, you only have to be 18 to get into the bars or buy alcohol, okay? In fact, they don't even check your passport or ID or anything. You just can go in and enjoy your time there. So that's what's different, right? Here we're used to the rule of, oh, you have to be over 21 or 21 to be able to do those fun things in college that are an important part of college to us, right? But in China, there is not really any kind of rule behind that. They say you have to be 18, but again, no need to show any sort of proof for that. Okay, so and what we're going to talk about now is also what I wanted to say is that to buy alcohol, the same rule applies, right? So here you have to be over 21, or you can be accompanied by your parent who buys the alcohol for you, even though you're younger than 21. That can also work. So in China, feel free when you are 18 to do whatever you want, party at the bars, buy alcohol with your friends, and no need to really show any proof of that. Okay, so the last few points that I want to go over here are that now in China, smoking is considered illegal in public places. What I mean by public places is indoor facilities like a restaurant or the library or a movie theater. That is illegal now. So Chinese people cannot. Before, they really smoked anywhere they wanted to. So this, we can see that we have the same rule applying to in the U.S. as well, and that has been present for many, many years. Okay, so the last thing that I really want to emphasize, and I'll spend a couple minutes on this, is that nowadays here there are many people that do drugs, and some of the drugs are not as life-threatening as others. One drug, I don't know if you want to consider it a drug, but one drug that is very common in the U.S., especially in college, university settings, is weed. Okay, so, and while we can do that basically whenever we want and nobody really cares, no policeman really is able to do anything about that because it's a common phenomenon here. Well, this is completely and absolutely illegal in China. So if you are caught doing any sort of drug or even weed, which we consider nothing, the police will put you in jail for some time first, and then you will be sent home to your own country where you're coming from, wherever that might be. And I'm not sure, but you might not be able to come back to China for some time or ever again. So we really want to be careful of that. If it's a habit of yours to do that here in the U.S., please, 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 please do not do that there, because there will be really, really bad consequences. And another thing is that they check to see how much, if you do that, which you're not supposed to do, they check and see how much of the drug you're using. And if it's over 50 grams or even 50 grams itself, you will be life sentenced, which means they will put you to die. So this is something that is highly looked down upon, and as you can tell, there are various consequences if you do so. So make sure that we keep this in mind. And
10 tips.
I think that hopefully in the U.S. you get rid of this habit soon, because it's not good either. So these are my I hope these were helpful, and the various ones that I went over, I will also create a separate video talking a little bit more in depth about those, because they're more important points.
再见。